I'm having a bad hair day, y'all. So we threw on a hat. And yes, it says Association of Fine Black Women, just in case there were any questions or concerns. I get that it's red and white and a trucker hat. So, there are connotations. Hopefully you all know me better by now. I ain't crazy. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Black Girl Ambition with me, Naya Baxter. This is your go-to space, as you know, for community, for empowerment, and practical tips to help you level up in your career and in all aspects of your life. Here, we have real conversations about navigating corporate careers, entrepreneurship, wellness, and Black womanhood. I like to describe Black Girl Ambition as equal parts executive level coffee chat meets sister circle meets motivational masterclass. Black Girl Ambition is not just a podcast, it is a movement. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite streaming platform. And if you love the mission and the message, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and please share with a friend as well. Okay, ambitious Black girls, get excited with me. Today we are speaking with Jessica Couch. So Jessica is a fashion technology expert. She is a strategist, a lifelong entrepreneur, and founder of Looks.ai. Her work has been featured in publications from Forbes to Blavity. As a recognized industry expert with deep research and knowledge and an intense customer focus, Jessica has consulted with major brands, including those like Nordstrom, Amazon, and Pattern Beauty. Jessica began her career merging her love of fashion with technology through her first venture, Luxor and Finch, which was a brick and mortar boutique. But really, that was just the beginning. For more than a decade, she has been recognized as a thought leader in fashion innovation, data-driven personalization, and the future of retail. With Looks, Jessica is pioneering AI-powered solutions to transform how consumers discover and engage with fashion, and is leading the next-gen creator economy for fashion. Beyond her ventures, Jessica is a mentor. She is an author and a speaker and an avid tech conference goer and an advocate for Black women entrepreneurs, building in spaces where representation may be scarce, but our presence is absolutely necessary. Jessica is also very beautiful, is giving 90s baddies, Betty Vixen. So maybe we can squeeze in a conversation on her beauty regimen, her preferred go-to collagen brand, and her signature red lip, which she is not wearing today, but is all over her Instagram page. Jessica, thank you so much for being here today.
Yo, that was the best intro I've ever had in my life. I am just smiling ear to ear, and thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this.
Let's start with demystifying fashion and technology and the intersection of those, because people might say fashion and technology live in separate worlds. So what made you see the connection between the two before others may have?
That is a great question. I saw the connection between the two when I owned a store, and this was prior to having Instagram stores. So before Instagram did their partnership with Shopify and made it easy for you to have social commerce, when I had a store online just using Shopify, everything was super manual. And I was just becoming frustrated with the lack of my ability to scale my knowledge set into my store. So prior to owning a store, I worked at Nordstrom as a sales associate and then as a stylist and like a personal stylist. And what I was really good at was looking at somebody, quickly identifying key points of their wardrobe and body type, understanding our inventory, and knowing that whatever I put in that fitting room, they're going to buy 80% of it. And that's how I became a top seller. It wasn't like sleazy sales tactics. It was matching people to product on a one-to-one based on their needs. And I was so frustrated because I was like, there's only a certain amount of hours in a day. There's only a certain amount of clients I can deal with on the floor. And at Nordstrom, they teach you to be a shark. If somebody walks on that floor and you speak to them, that's your customer. So I'm, trying to hurry up and get everybody in their fitting rooms, but there's still a finite number that I could do that. So when I had my store, the whole goal was, can I take the skills that I had of identifying people based on their body types, just in their wardrobe already, and any like customer data? Can I sell them a product? And then can I scale it? And what I ran into just kept being roadblocks. This technology didn't exist yet. This didn't exist yet. Things were just not connecting. And I was like, I think our industry at that time was just behind. And so owning a store for 3 years and finding clever ways to match people to products and doing all these cool things, I decided that I was going to move to New York. My sister was at NYU and I was like, she'll let me stay on her couch. So I moved to New York and I took a job at Tracy Reese in her design room, as well as another basically internship as an adult, just to get a feel for what is the issue in the industry. Like, is this a small town girl issue and I have a small store? So like, I just don't have enough capital, or I don't have a team of 60 people, or is our industry on the precipice of a wave of tech integration that hasn't happened? And what I discovered working at Tracy Reese, because she's awesome, was that the disconnects in fashion was so intense. Everything was antiquated. Everything was analog. Nothing had been digitized yet. And for me, when I see problems, I know that there's solutions that exist and I get excited about that. I am a solutions-oriented person. It is just brain thinks. And so that is when I said, I think this industry is primed for tech integration and I want to be a part of the people that bring it in.
That's interesting. Your experience owning a store is what was your entry into the fashion and tech field. Did you ever feel, though, that it would just be easier to choose one, to go the fashion route or to go the technology route?
I think I chose the hardest path possible, to be honest to you. And yes, and that is a question I've gotten my entire career. Somebody's just kind of like, why didn't you just pick this? I thought you liked fashion, just do fashion. And although I love fashion and I love wearing clothing, I love solving problems more than I loved anything else. And I didn't realize that until I decided to go down a rabbit hole and just kind of like forge a path where fashion technology did not exist when I wanted to get in there. There were not jobs and opportunities for it. So I felt like a madman. I was just passionate about it. I was writing about it. I was dreaming about it. I was like, this is what could happen. It is like, I feel like when you're in a niche area like that, you might be crazy because all you have is a vision for what you think is going to happen and what you think is needed. And there's no mentors. So there's no one who's forged the path really before you that you have access to, that you can just say, hey, do this. Like, we have a family law firm. And I remember my parents were like, if you go that route, if you go any other route but law, we can't help you. And that was a realization that I had. It was like, there wasn't a ton of help. And I started realizing it wasn't fashion that I was in love with. It wasn't, I thought it was, because when I was little, my aunt is a seamstress and she took time to teach me how to sew. And the idea of sewing really intrigued me. Not enough to want to sew all the time, but enough to be like, I like custom clothing. It was actually wearing clothing and have access to clothing that I loved more than just fashion itself. Now, being a tall, athletic girl, I have struggled to buy off the rack my entire life. I've struggled with finding the right sizes. Like, when you're tall and you have curves, you have body, you can't wear the same thing that everyone else has worn. So even in school, my identity became my association with what I could wear and what I had on. So I guess I was rebellious back then because I was always in a place that had uniforms and private schools. And, you're Black amongst a group of people who maybe aren't. Your body's different. So what you wear not only defines you, but it kind of defends you in another way. So I went the crazy route. I went the route of this doesn't exist yet. I'm so passionate about this. I just know it's going to happen. And honestly, I feel like I was blessed because that was my early 20s, not to age myself, but that was my early 20s. And I think there was a time when you can be selfish. You can kind of tighten your belt. You can be like, no, I don't care. I'm going to do this because you don't have the same obligations. But a couple years ago, before it really came back full circle, I was like, I think I'm over this. I'm like, it's just too abstract sometimes. And you see other companies getting funding and you see things going on, and it can be discouraging because you don't always see the right things happening in the industry. But now I'm like, all right, I'm here to stay and I'm not leaving until I get everything I came for.
Talk to us a little bit more about your journey, because it started as Luxor and Finch, and then it evolved to establishing a research firm and LooksAI. So talk to us a little bit about the journey.
Yeah. So Luxor and Finch was born as a store, and spent 3 years running that store. I had a partner in the beginning, but my partner phased out for whatever reason. I was super passionate. I kept it. That store is what led me onto the fashion tech side. And I was like, I absolutely feel like fashion tech is the wave. I don't want to be stuck in just retail. that store is also the reason why I went to grad school. So I recognized immediately that I haven't done enough in the fashion side. I've been an entrepreneur. I know retail. I know business. I know matching people to product. I've got to put a little more oomph behind me and get a little more education in order to become a thought leader in this space. And so when I attended Cornell University to get my master's, they let me build my master's program based on what I wanted to do. So Professor Susan P. Ashdown, she is the best. She was so excited about the projects that I had because she believed in my vision for technology and fashion. And so when I came out of school, again, there's still not a lot of jobs. So I was writing about it. I was just being a LinkedIn baddie. Companies started pinging me to come on board and consult with them before I knew what consulting was. I was kind of overwhelmed, but I'm not going to say no because I need to learn. And I knew my stuff. I knew how to research. So through consulting, I became a product manager. This founder named Ryan, who worked at a company named Footsie, they were trying to build a tool that allowed you to do a 3D visualization of a foot scan so that you could match feet to shoes. And so I came on board as a product manager because I completely understood fit and size and I understood the consumer perspective. And those skills of doing research, focus groups, data analysis, qualitative analysis changed my life. I was like, oh, okay. It's similar to what I did in grad school. It's just on a different scale now because it's more meaningful. In grad school, it's like, I'm doing analysis for me and what I think. As a product manager, you're doing an analysis to get from point A to point B to get a customer to buy something and really love it. And so from that, I was like, okay, these skills are great, but I got to meet more people in this industry. So what I did by mistake, and now I look back and I'm like, was that a distraction? What I did was I said, I want to create an event because I had done so many focus groups. I wanted to create an event where I could hear from people in the fashion industry and on the tech industry to figure out where's the gaps and where can I fill in those gaps. The event was going to be a focus group for me. I got a couple friends together, some people that I knew who were also interested. We had the first Women of Color Worldwide brunch. And it came because I wanted to connect women of color with people in fashion and technology. I wanted to merge those spaces to get people in the room to find the intersection. That is what turned into an agency. And I will say it was a great opportunity at the time. It was just like the timing for it was perfect because we were in a space where people wanted the data from Black and brown women, period. And Black and brown women wanted spaces where they could talk about things and be honest. And we created a very honest space because as a product manager, you need honesty from the people that you're testing from. So like, you don't want to come in and tell people this is what you're going to do. You want to hear completely from people. So every event was about centering the guest as the main piece. And then we would have, panels. It's about the guest. We want the guests to feel good. So that turned into an agency. And when things like that happen as an entrepreneur, I feel like we can't say no to a hustle because it feels good. You're like, oh God, this is good. We're making money. This is where I want to be. We're meeting people in New York. We're doing this. We're working with that. But I'll be very honest. It was a pivot from fashion technology, but it was still applicable because now we were working across retail and beauty and CPG. I got in the cannabis space, right? And all of those things were great and they made money and we solved problems. But I was like, this is taking me away from fashion tech. All the while of doing that, I really built Looks in grad school. I mapped it out in grad school. I was like, this is what I'm going to build. When the technology catches up, it's going to be perfect timing. So over the years from grad school until now, I've been trying to find the right tech. And finally, we're in a space where AI has changed the game. So now I'm able to pivot and give Looks the time, attention, and life it deserves. Because it's going to be my last contribution to this space before I'm out.
You said so much there. One of the threads that I got was this entrepreneurial spirit that you have. Need to try something new, forge a path that maybe has not been paid for you before, and just that hustle, right? So you described yourself as a lifelong entrepreneur. And I understand until recently when you took a corporate role, which is your first job in corporate, which I do want to talk about. But looking back, what was your first entrepreneurial memory? Where do you think that sort of hustle and desire for the road less traveled comes from?
That's a great question. My parents are entrepreneurs and we grew up in a household watching our parents say what they were going to do, make a plan about what they were going to do, execute it, involve the entire family, and then build it and grow. We don't know another way. I don't know the easy route. I thought it was normal to want to go the entrepreneurship route. I didn't know until way later that you can have a great life working a corporate job and you can always do your hustle on the side. I grew up in a business and I grew up seeing my parents like passionate about something. So to me, I was like, there's no other way. I too must find something I'm passionate about and obsess over it and make sure I can live off of it and just try it, because nothing makes me feel better than knowing I had a vision and it came to life. I'm a woman, so in a sense, the idea of nurturing something, birthing something, growing something, feeding it, and getting that feedback is such a amazing feeling, no matter where you're putting that energy. And so I think that coming from a family where that was the case, and my grandmother was an entrepreneur, I thought it was the only way. I didn't know till I was an adult and I was burnt out and exhausted. I'm like, wait a minute, corporate doesn't seem so bad. It's not like a bad word to go corporate. It's not a cop out to go corporate. It's just another path, and that path is stable and that path is just as great. And you can also be an entrepreneur. I had no idea. But since I was little, I like making stuff. It's so much satisfaction out of getting something out my head onto a paper or into the real world. I love it.
Yeah, that birthing and that creation. You did say that you have now entered the corporate world. You were still building Looks.ai, but you are now working full time. Yeah. And it's interesting to hear you talk about the corporate world, because there are benefits to working in corporate, like for sure. I don't often hear people talk about those benefits of working in corporate. Yeah. Like there is the working for yourself is glorified for good reason, but the working for yourself is glorified, but it's not the doing both or choosing to have a career that prioritizes corporate. They aren't necessarily seen as being on equal footing with entrepreneurship. And so I'm just curious what you think about that. What's your experience as someone who has done both?
I think it is a privilege to work for yourself and to earn for yourself. And I was earning for myself in one of the most expensive cities in the world, in New York City. And I think the motivation to get up every day and to forge a path and to make it happen and to go from vision to execution, it is a blessing. But when I tell you, it takes a toll on you after a while, and rejection takes a toll on you. And all of these things that people think when you're an entrepreneur, you're just kind of like cruising, like, the hustle. You don't realize that it's taking a toll on you. Your ego might be getting fed, but your body's tired. Your mind is tired. You're depleted because you're up all night doing something. You don't know how to sit down. You can't take a vacation. You can't have a holiday. It's no breaks because you're on 24/7 on this grind, giving it 100%. And I didn't realize until I hit a wall, just because things happen, that this is wearing me down and I've got to have a better way to do this. I think that corporate for me, it's like having a boyfriend who takes care of you. Maybe you're not in love with him. We're going to go with this analogy. You met a man who wants to take care of you. You're not in love with him, but you're like, I have bills and I need to be taken care of. This may not be a long-term thing, but I have a plan. So I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to be in this relationship and I'm going to learn this person. They're going to learn me. In exchange of taking care of me, I'm going to take care of the things that they need. It feels kind of like that to me. And at this point, I think it's easier, obviously, than entrepreneurship. And there's benefits because when you're paying out of pocket for insurance, that's a little different. When working a full-time job, you wake up every day, you know exactly what you're going to do. And it might take you a week or two. It's not pressing unless, someone says it is, you're going to get paid. You could do mediocre stuff and get paid. You can get paid to not come into work. That's crazy. But when you're an entrepreneur, you eat what you kill. If you want to eat, you're in animal mode. It's also difficult because as an entrepreneur, you spend a lot of time solo and running things. So coming into an environment where people want to question you, it's tough for me. Like, how dare you question me? I've built worlds before for bigger companies in a smaller amount of time on different budgets. Like, who are you? So you got to, I have to check myself a lot and be like, you're in an environment and you're here to learn. Another thing, it's not the place to hustle, not in the same way you would as an entrepreneur.
Say more about that. It's not the place to hustle.
Yeah. So I want to tell entrepreneurs who take a job, you don't need to show up and let them know that you have a special set of skills, that you're really a Marine or that you're a Navy SEAL in life, because that would be counterproductive. You need to do what is asked of you. And that is hard. For me, that was the adjustment, because when you're an entrepreneur, you get so used to having to show up 110%, outpacing yourself, outdoing. When you get the opportunity to come into a space where 50% get you where you need to go, there's guilt around it. It feels weird. It might be like contradictory to how you normally are, but you also, I'm not saying dumb it down, but conserve your energy. This is the place to conserve your energy. This is not the place to balls to the wall, unless that's a part of some grand plan you have, because your goals also are kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. You have, you can't really tell them who you are and what you're really about. You're there to make sure you check your boxes and that you kind of go under the radar enough where no one's like, hey, it seems like you're distracted and you're running another business. What do you have going on? And that's the part where you kind of have to finesse your way into showing up in one space and being a good steward, but also making sure you have time and space to do you and they don't create conflict at the moment.
Right. Managing the optics of the two. I resonate with a lot of what you said. I also think that is the best analogy I have ever heard for working, having a full-time job. And it's like a boyfriend who wants to take care of you. But hilarious. But a lot of what you said really does resonate. And I've had to do that so much. And I work in a very fast-paced, corporate, high-pressure environment. And I also have a very entrepreneurial spirit. So I'm used to the overdoing it. I'm used to the constant innovation. I'm used to that and bringing that to what I do. It's difficult for me to not do that, and so I have been very intentional about trying to redirect that energy, all of that extraness, that extra sparkle that I would put into that space, into this platform. But just it being a part of our nature, it can be difficult to sit on our hands a little bit.
It's frustrating almost, because it's so frustrating. I have developed new challenges for myself. Like I have a journal and it's like, I'm going to show it to you. I'm not promoting this. They don't pay me. This 100-day goals journal breaks everything down into 10-day sprints. So every 10 days, I'm giving myself other tasks to go hammer on. It's like, just show up to work and do your job. But here's some other tasks you can do. Focus on your health or do something else or get this little thing so that I can still, like you're saying, redirect that energy, but do it more appropriately, but still making sure I show up and I'm doing good work. Because you don't want to slack somewhere.
No.
So you still have to maintain a level of, I do excellent work. It's just also like, I ain't finna do more than necessary here because it's not appreciated. And it won't really, it doesn't give back to you at the end of the day. If you get sick, they'll replace you. If something happens, they don't care. So you got to be careful how much you're giving something that doesn't give back to you, because you need to give to yourself or your vision or whatever you're doing.
Right. 100%. I want to switch gears a bit and talk about the role of technology in fashion and size inclusivity, because I know that is something that you are very passionate about. How do you think technology can solve longstanding problems in fashion, like inclusivity, body representation? What do you think?
That's such a great question, because fashion is a $3 trillion industry with a global supply chain that spans almost every continent, almost. And when you're that big, you have big problems. Now, we have billion-dollar problems in fashion. There's returns. Returns, the last time I checked, were a $70 billion problem in the US. 87% of returns are due to fit, which means the products that we're making, by the time they get to a person and a person puts them on, it's not compatible with their body type. So they're sending it back. But then there's over $50 to $60 billion of dead inventory. And dead inventory is inventory that just sits in a warehouse because the products that we're making isn't being matched to people, where people don't even give them an opportunity. They don't see them. They're not interested in it. It could be overproduction. Fashion needs technology for several reasons. I think the best thing that technology can do for fashion is to help to match people to product on a one-to-one. And I say this all the time. And what that means is we have to address that clothing is for the body, but every piece of clothing isn't for every body. Data can help us to determine which piece of clothing is best suited for which body. But currently, the problem with fashion is it has data. It has tons of data, but data is siloed in different departments. So one department may not be sharing the right data with the other department. So if data cannot communicate with each other, we can't really run a positive analysis to get a result that we need. And then the other problem that we have is that we're not used to using data in fashion because we're going off instinct and how we feel. And this is what we've done for, 20 years, or this is what this brand does. We determine what the trends are, and then we put the trends out, and the people, they respond to the trends. But we're in a consumer-centric economy, and that just happened. And by just happened, I would say the last 10 years. So brands are having a hard time catching up to what consumer centricity really means. It means that we have to collect our cues, data points, and information for the customer and problem solve. And a lot of people are like, well, how am I supposed to problem solve with clothing? Clothing is a problem solve. You just don't know what problem you're solving. It could be, I need a certain style, a certain fit, a certain size. I wear a uniform, whatever it is. We need the data around every piece of product that is created in order to better match it to people. And that is going to take technology integrating, not just on the side of like virtual try on, which I've done some videos on why it's kind of like not it, or NFTs. We need real data and information to help with production. We're producing too many pieces of clothing that people aren't wearing. And that's obvious. You can look at the waste, and to listen to people about what they want and to better understand body types. Now, when the industry went super size inclusive and decided that, well, we're a brand and we're going to make every size, that is not quite the remedy for this problem, because it's not so much a sizing issue. It's a misunderstanding of the human body in general, because all bodies don't gain and lose weight the same way, and there's different shapes. So you've got to know who your product is best for. Now, the easiest way to do that would be to take a look at your fit models and understand the distribution of their proportions anthropometrically. So we need to understand your fit model because that's your audience. But what brands do is they might have a fit model who's built like a pear, and they're marketing to people who are built more athletic, or built like an hourglass, or built like an apple. And there's no conversation. There's no management of expectations there. And so technology is going to change fashion, whether fashion likes it or not, because it's too much waste. I just got back from Ghana, and before they burnt down the market where the people were taking clothing waste from countries like the US and the UK and China, and they were reselling it. It produced a huge industry for different countries who are receiving about 15 million pieces of clothing every week, which is a ridiculously sick number. But when I was walking the streets of Ghana and I was noticing their pollution wasn't plastic and paper alone, it was pieces of clothing. It was literally pieces of clothing. We have a huge problem because clothing waste is ridiculous. And with fast fashion, they're just producing more and more waste. Now, we have this resource of clothing waste that we don't know what to do with it. If we never make another garment again, we still have enough fabric that we could probably still clothe everybody in the world. But now there's got to be industries that are collecting these end of life cycle products and turning it into something. It doesn't have to be fashion. We don't always need a patched up jean jacket. You can literally rip those fibers apart. You can use solvents to dissolve part of the non-natural fibers, and we can recreate new products like bricks or structural products so that we can now do something else with it. And this is how I'm thinking about fashion. Like, we've got to resolve these issues because it is the number 2 pollutant in the world. And I'm embarrassed to say that.
That is tremendous. And just the contribution to climate change, and the industry does not sound sustainable at all. So there's a lot of need for innovation there. So we are in a real interesting time, Jessica. The world is in a very interesting place. Okay. You posted, I was looking on your IG. I saw that you posted a reel recently asking if the anti-woke movement and Ozempic kill body positivity era in fashion.
You looked at my reel. Thank you.
I looked at it. Hey, I want you to talk more about that, because there's a diversity part of it. There's the body positivity and the diversity, but I also think there's the sustainability piece. Like, does anyone care about these things anymore? What is your perspective?
So thank you for asking me for that perspective and for even looking at that reel. So unfortunately, the body positivity movement was a trend. And it was a trend that brands were forced to do because they wanted to be woke. When being woke was trending, brands did not want to fall outside of that because they're like, oh, we don't want to be seen as the brands who aren't woke because that's not cool. And so they did it in a haphazard way. They're like, let's just focus on plus size models on the runway and we'll just glorify it. Fashion hated that. They were never on board with that. It was never really a realistic goal. Outside of the few brands that obviously expanded their sizing line, they still didn't do it in a way that made sense because it's not like people are shaped like tents. So you can just grade it all around like 2-3 inches until we get to size 20 or whatever. Fashion was kind of forced to be woke when woke was trending, and fashion is trendy. Now that the idea of having a big curvaceous body is no longer glorified, you have celebrities that no longer have big butts. Like we went through the whole era of all of a sudden it went from being ghetto to have a ghetto booty. Ghetto.
Those Kardashians, that's a whole other podcast.
You know, and then it became Hollywood to have a big old crazy butt. It was trending. And so when it trends in Hollywood, and we have to understand that fashion is still built on a pyramid of elitists. So these people at the top of the pyramid control all the trends, allegedly. Even in a consumer-centric economy, you're battling the people at the top of the pyramid and the people at the bottom of the pyramid because now the trend and influence is kind of meeting in the middle and it's changing. So when we started to see the Hollywood go thin again because the association with thickness is now a part of a class system that you don't want to be a part of, then it was like fashion sighed and said, oh, thank God we didn't do it. And you didn't see another thick body on the runway. You didn't see any more brands talking about size inclusivity because the trend was over. And now it's almost like, and this is what's happening with trends now. I don't know if it's because of the amount of people on trends or how fast they're happening. We'll go from one side to all the way the opposite. No more gray area. So we went from bigger bodies are great and, you know, size inclusivity to now you have to be as small as possible to restaurants serving Ozempic sized meals to brands finally being like, great, we can offer double zeros again because that is still what we will always hold as the epitome of beauty. And we're not interested in doing anything different. Now we're on the opposite side. I do think that the Ozempic era of being very, very thin, and it's widespread, it's like people of all backgrounds are trying to get thin. I think that ended the woke movement in an instant. And you don't see people going back. When people started removing their butt implants, I thought, oh, we're in a new era.
Who's removed them?
So I don't want to call names. One of the people that I remember is K. Michelle took hers out. A few other of our beautiful social media butterflies took theirs out. It started becoming a thing because what I think is when it was cool, and then it started looking crazy again. And people were like, we don't want that here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're in a new era.
We are in a new era. In terms of inclusivity being a trend, do you think that that's a mistake for brands? Like, do you think that they're missing something? There's a market that they are missing, overlooking?
Yes and no. On the yes side, the non-standard sizing market and the plus size market are pretty much equal. I think the last time I checked, they were around a $20 billion opportunity for both. And now the non-standard sizing includes petite, tall. So you have men that are like the athletes who are tall, but maybe they're not big and tall. They're tall and they might be slender. They're tall and they might be built. And then there's the petite category. There's tall women. It's absolutely a market, but the agility and flexibility needed to change your manufacturing in order to cater to that market is a cost that I think a lot of brands are not willing to take a risk on. I do think the fashion industry is risk averse outside of trend. So when it comes to a fashion trend, sure, they'll try it. When it comes to trends that could impact them economically or across the supply chain outside of the runway, it's almost a no, not never. And there's not a ton of innovation in manufacturing for these different sizes in a way that is successful enough for brands to say, okay, we're going to offer these different sizes. Now, I'm going to tell you what's interesting. I just read an article on the business of fashion of them saying that the modern designer brands are failing. And they're failing because they kind of cannot compete anymore with these larger brands who have bigger bags. And they can't compete because wholesale is not really the option that people are going for anymore. So you are seeing a decline in shows like Magic, where the whole industry would come to a show like Magic because wholesale was such a big part of your market. Now it's because of direct to consumer, that's not the case. But in order to be successful with direct to consumer, the amount of money you have to spend in ads for social is ridiculous. And you don't have a bag that can outdo the bigger brands. But when you focus niche and when you niche it down, you have an opportunity as a brand to now capture one of these markets that are not being catered to. Because if you try to cast a wide net as a newer designer, you're competing with too many big brands, and those big brands aren't even doing well. There's still about 25% of returns for major brands that have been doing this for a long time. But these designers have to come into these niches of figuring out, in this inclusivity, who can we target and go deep with so that we can be successful and we can speak directly to them without having to overspend on ads. And we can turn over successful products, great reviews, and start building this relationship with the community. I do think that the designers of the future have to think differently about their business, and bringing this back to what problem do you solve as a designer? That's what you're going to have to ask. No one cares about, well, I just really wanted this cool jean jacket with this on. That's not going to cut it no more. There is a group of people who need to be catered to. And either you're going to answer the call and go deep and lock them in, and you can do commerce like that, or your products are going to end up in a landfill in Ghana when I'm trying to be on vacation in December and we have to step over it.
Speaking of niche, tell me more about LooksAI and the platform that you're building. You've been working on this for 6 years, girl. So
a long time.
Talk to me about it.
It's a peer-to-peer platform that allows you to shop based on women who look like, anybody who looks like you and has your similar style. So the reason why I built this is being a tall girl who's thick. Whenever I see other tall girls who are thick and they wear something fly, I'm like, where did you get that? Just tell me and I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But that interaction at the time was not scalable. I'm creating a platform that scales that interaction and then rewards the girl who influenced you to purchase something. And it's not just for women, it's for men, it's for anybody. Because most of the time, you want your expectations managed before you buy something. So when I'm online and I'm seeing something, I'm like, this is great, but I go straight to the reviews if there's some. And I'm like, okay, so who's saying something? And when people say true to size, I'm like, true to whose size? I need to see what you look like. Do you have boobs like mine? Do you have a waist like mine? Do you have the same thick thighs like mine? Because my thighs are huge. So I need to know, does it fit you? It'll fit me. This platform essentially takes that interaction and makes it scalable. And it also rewards the person who you would even want to buy a product from. So if you saw somebody and she told you and she's like, yeah, I got this from whoever, and you went and bought it, usually that person gets nothing from that. But on our platform, since she was the one that influenced you to get it, she gets a kickback to encourage people to keep helping other people shop. It also solves the problem of matching people to products, which is really tough because right now you have brands and they have tons of items. Obviously, we talked about dead inventory, but they don't have a way to kind of match those products to the right people. And so we use AI to form our own neural networks to basically help understand every component of shopping, preference, size, and fit so that brands can get smarter and that people get what they want.
So it's a very simple concept, but at scale, because we see another fly girl, we walk up to her, hey girl, where'd you get that skirt? Where'd you get that top? Where'd you get those shoes? You're my same size, type. And so this scales that interaction so that you can find looks that you like and that work for you.
Yeah.
It's a win-win because it makes everyone an influencer and people are making money off of being stylish.
So come on board then. So since you want to lead marketing, it's a yes. But absolutely. To me, I'm like, it's a simple solution for a really big problem. But out of all the years that I've studied this and I've worked in size and fit and I've worked as a product manager and I've seen companies come and go, I think what we're doing is going to outlast everyone else because of the simplicity of it.
What do you think has taken 6 years in the platform that you're building? 6 years is a long time.
It is. That's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. And I honestly usually wouldn't be prepared to answer it because, it's actually personal. The first couple of years, I just didn't know how to build it. I think that the idea at the time outpaced the technology that was available to me. And so I was trying to find ways to do it, but it was like using the accelerometer in your phone to measure this. I'm like, that's not going to work. It's too much. And then for the last 2 years, I've been testing it. We tested it with a cohort of stylists. We learned that stylists don't care about posting looks like that. So that's not the one. We tested it with students, and the platform that we had just had so many bugs and issues that it was like, okay, we've got to do this smarter. But when AI came out and kind of made coding and everything easier, and it made taking data and making actionable steps and analysis easier, it was almost like, oh, now is the perfect time to have the tools and the technology without having to overspend and overdo it. Additionally, my goal was to not have to raise funds for this because I didn't want to give away ownership too early for an idea, because I've seen where you raise funds and you have VCs and now you're managing expectations of people whose money is involved, but their heart's not in it and they have no idea about this industry. And we're in such a niche industry. I don't want anyone controlling this that doesn't know, that hasn't spent 10,000 hours in a fitting room because you're no good to me. A lot of the patience was about the right timing. And then so much of it was confidence in myself, because when you're amongst, you're watching the people that are getting these big numbers for their products, you think that they're special. You think that there has to be some type of special sauce, or like, oh, okay, they're only funding people who went to Harvard and dropped out and they have this awesome idea. But the amount of technology that I've seen fail from tech bros who just got money thrown at them because of their titles, and they can't solve a problem they just can't do anything for this industry. It took me years to realize, like, not only am I positioned for this, I'm an expert in this. And maybe I don't go their route. I don't go Silicon Valley route, but I could go the route of creating value for the brands that need it the most. And so like when we're launching now with Shopify, because the easiest way to go for this go-to-market strategy is to offer this to the actual stores and let the stores kind of be the liaison between the people that are buying it and have them do these interactions first. And that way we can get a critical mass of people on it. And even that idea came in time. I would have liked to launch this 6 years ago. I thought that when I thought of this idea, I was like, I'm going to be rich. This is going to be easy. I don't have to do anything. Girl, no, I've been like growing and watering and waiting. It's like growing a coconut tree. I think they take 6 years too. But once you have a coconut tree, it gives you everything: coconut oil, activated charcoal. So it's like a never ending gift. Just being, patience wasn't my thing. Now it is.
You have great analogies. Coconut tree.
Yeah, it takes 6 years.
Funny. It takes 6 years. See, I learned something new. So you have prioritized with LooksAI to build a proof of concept and then a solid base platform for your business, as opposed to going the route of pitching to VCs, investors, because you understood the trade-offs that comes with.
Yes. And I'm building a product for people, not just to get investors' chops wet so that we can do the raise, and then we get all this money and then we exit and it does nothing for everybody. And now you're just kind of like, could have gone that route. That's just not my MO. I'm building this so that people can be like, I love shopping, or this is easier. I know exactly how this is going to fit, because those are my personal problems too. And it's the problem. Every time I talk to somebody about their issue with shopping, I know that what we're building will resolve that. And so testing is important to me. Feedback was important. I gave it to students so they could tear it apart. I gave it to stylists and stylish people, and you watch people be like, oh, this is cool, but I'm not interested. And it hurts a little bit. But it's like the product isn't good enough yet. We've got to go harder, or it's got to be smarter, or people don't want to sit there and tag everything. That's got to be automatic. And then God gave us AI. So now it's kind of like some of those workflows that we were stressing about of how do we make this faster and better can be resolved now with AI tools. And that's really important too.
So you really were ahead of your time in a lot of ways with building this platform. What do you think it takes emotionally and strategically to like keep pushing? Because you're very innovative. You have a very innovative idea, but there's this resistance. There's the resistance of timing, of the broader market, of resources, of being ahead of your time. Why do you keep going?
Man, when I lock in and I'm committed, I want to see it through. I am relentless in my pursuits. And I believe that if you just don't stop, something will happen. Things will shake. And it's almost something outer body of myself. I wanted to give up. I've been like, forget this. I went the wrong way. Let's just do something else. But it's something that wakes me up. And I think when God puts a vision on you and he chooses you for a vision, unfortunately, when you take that assignment, you don't get to see the path, but you got to walk it and you got to go for it. And it's something about the greater vision. It has controlled my life. When I want to get away from it, I cannot. And I don't know if that's everybody's experience, but it's something that I've got to bring to life, or at least give it all I've got. But I approach relationships like that. Like, I've got to give 110% before I walk away. I've got to know that I threw everything out there that I could have. I tried everything and I gave it my best. And then I'm confident to walk away knowing it just wasn't meant to be. And this is like that for me. Emotionally, oh my God, I feel like I built myself so many times to become the person that could do things and get past your own fears and pitch this and grow in and get smarter. And then you're just not smart enough. So you have to kill that person and grow a new one. So I've chopped my own head off so many times because I've realized I get to a point emotionally where the person that I am who made these decisions or feel like this can't lead this company anymore, or we can't get from point A to point B, this one has to go. So I kind of engage in this very interesting ego death every so often when it's necessary, when I have to push beyond myself. It's a thing that I do. And I think emotionally, you just have to be the type of person that you can figure out how to get yourself from point A to point B. That's it. It's no easy way to it. You will feel crazy some days. You will be defeated some days. You will feel like a loser some days. You'll be like, I must be insane some days. And you'll have massive wins some days. None of those things can shake you from just, what's the next step? What's the next step? Are we there yet? Let's check in with it. You're hurting right now. You're upset. This isn't going to, work out. You've got to pivot. You've just got to be the type of person like, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to make a decision. Let's go. So I don't know. Perhaps I could be an emotional wreck. I don't know. I just think you just got to keep going. If you have a vision, just keep going, because I think eventually, everything will come together for you.
So it's with Looks, you've been committed to the vision, but the way that you get there has changed
tremendously.
And that's been a lot of the ego death that you've had to do.
Yes, a lot of it, because you don't get to control the path. And technology changes so fast and so much. You don't want to be outdated. You don't want to be holding on to a vision of like, well, it has to be body scanning on the phone. That's not even a thing anymore. That's not even a thing people want to do. We saw the whole era of phone body scanning. If I would have held on to, okay, that's it, that's the path we have to go down, that wouldn't be it. I have to be committed to the problem we are solving. We are trying to make it easier to shop based on your shape and your style. I had an idea of how that might come together, but now it's like you got to be open to how that path will look, and you've got to be resilient with knowing that my goal is to get to the end result. So if there's a better way, I'm open to it. But it has, oh girl, every so often I'm like, okay, like either this is going to work or I have to go sell feet pictures or something.
So interesting to me having these conversations with women on this platform, because there are these themes that come up. And you have mentioned it. Last weekend, I was in New York interviewing Claire Stolmers, who is the founder and editor-in-chief of Fashion Bomb Daily.
Wow.
That was amazing. And then over the summer, I interviewed Terry Johnson, who is the CEO and founder of Harlem Brands, the Harlem Candle Company, which was also incredible. Yeah. And all three of you have said the same thing about having that voice. When God gives you a vision, you must see it through. You must see it through. And Claire in particular said, like, I hate quitters. I hate quitters. Just don't quit and something good will happen, right? Just keep going. Like their commitment to the vision, to that God voice, you just keep going. It doesn't always make sense and it is difficult, but you just keep going and something good will come from that.
That actually speaks a word to my heart, because they are amazing in their own right. So I thank God I am aligned with that theory, because I'm like, hey, okay, it's true. You must keep going. Yeah. You don't have a choice. It's like that vision is for you and you must bring it to life, but it is not pretty. Sometimes I'm like, why didn't you choose law school? why didn't you just choose something where you could be sitting back right now? Why are you waking up out of your sleep like, okay, we can create it, it can happen? Like, why do it? You like, I remember, especially in my 20s, trying to have a relationship and trying to build this just didn't coincide. It just did not coincide because, your vision is your baby. And so like, if you were dating somebody and they did not accept your child or they had some type of issue with it, immediately it's like, well, we can't be together. But it's very hard to ask someone when you're an entrepreneur to believe in your dream, to love your dream, to also support your dream. That is very rare. For those who have found that, it's a blessing. But I do recall being like, I got to choose this over that at all costs. I can't stay here if it's going to hinder my progress for this vision. So it has been sacrifice after sacrifice after sacrifice, but I believe it's worth it.
Those is, where do you think, with everything that you know, everything you've seen over the past 15 years, being an expert in this industry and just the broader macro environment, right? And how it impacts the industry, where do you think the fashion industry is heading?
Is splintering. I think the fashion industry is about to experience an overhaul from every direction. Overhaul for technology, changes in changes in who is the influencer and the trendsetter. I think how's it to use data now to determine what to even create. I think to me right now, fashion is boring. I haven't seen anything that's made me be like, wow, I'm so excited about that. This is so great. I haven't gone into a store and been wowed yet. It's like so many experiences that we're waiting to have as consumers that haven't existed yet will exist in the future. And I think it will change the landscape. Even the fact that athletes are now becoming the influencers for style is incredible. And it's showing you like there are a lot of shifts. I'm excited about where fashion is going, but I also know that things are going to break apart in many ways before they are rebuilt. And I think it will be good. I mean, even just this thing with China and the tariffs and how that's going to change nearshoring and factories, it's going to give new countries opportunities to come into the manufacturing space. But we may get different quality products or types of products. And it's just all shifting right now. And people are still trying to hold on to what it was and who it was originally meant for. But it's like, the change is here. The change is here.
It's wild to me to hear you say that the industry does not rely on data in deciding what to do and what to make. Because if I look at any other industry, that's what you do. You rely on data to decide what you develop, what steps to take, what path to go, how many people to hire, what resources to deploy, like whatever it is. That's wild.
It's disturbing. None.
It's vibes.
Vibes. And, well, I've been running this company for so long. This is what we like.
And tradition. Yes, tradition.
Tradition and vibes. So, and some companies do it better than others. I don't want to speak in generalities without data, but yes, it is not a data forward industry at all. And so it is prime for, some changes and evolving.
Yes. And there is an opportunity for some of the smaller fashion brands to become more influential in the industry because they're more nimble. I think they're closer to the streets, so to speak, on what people want.
And the goal of smaller brands are changing because perhaps it used to be, I have to get my stuff in Saks. I have to get in Bloomingdale's. If I can just get my items in Bloomingdale's, people will walk by and see it. Now it's totally different because your audience can see you. So even the goal of being a company now is changing, and how you get there. There's so many opportunities. There's so much that you could do differently to win that you don't have to go the traditional route anymore. And that's what excites me as well.
If you could write a short headline about the future of fashion and tech, what would it say at this point in time?
I'm going to use a headline from an article I wrote. It said fashion and technology, the unlikely successful marriage. So to me, I see them marrying, and I think a lot of people are going to doubt this marriage and be like, no, this is impossible. They're from two different backgrounds. It's not going to work. They're going to make it. And what they're going to create together is going to forever change the industry. And once they're united, they will not be able to be pulled apart. I think that we're going to see a future where data, numbers, science, tech, and all that is so integrated from the retail space to the supply chain to when you're on your phone scrolling and trying to do discovery. It's all going to shift, and it's never going to shift backwards. And I'm excited about that because it'll be, the creation of new opportunities, jobs, spaces for creators to think with both sides of their brains. But I think this is the marriage that's happening. Once it's united, it will not be pulled apart.
For the next generation of Black women who want to innovate, they're innovators, what is your most important piece of advice?
For the next generation of innovators, my advice would be, don't look beyond your vision for your steps. You're going to have to trust the vision, trust yourself, and stay loyal and committed to it. Because as an innovator, you are an outlier. No one's going to agree with you initially. No one's going to care about you until you're on. No one is going to believe in that vision. You don't have to tell people about it. You don't need any validation. You have the vision, build it out, validate it through use cases, validate it through qualitative analysis. Don't look for validation amongst family, peers, or friends. They're not going to get it. It's your dream. It's your baby. Just hold that vision. It's nothing beyond the vision. Hold that vision, validate the smart way, the scientific way, because it's going to be tough. But the tough stuff is fun.
Where can the Black Girl Ambition audience find you on socials?
Y'all, you can find me at _Jessica Veronica_. I'm on TikTok too, y'all, but I don't even know my TikTok name. But if you go on my Instagram, you will find my TikTok. And TikTok is where I do the fun stuff. Instagram is going to be stuff about me. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I love to connect as much as possible and learn about other innovators, answer questions. So definitely, you can even email me at jcouch, COUCH, at luxorandfinch.com. Go to luxorandfinch.com as well. That's my website.
Before I pose my final question to you, I have to fit in, what liquid collagen brand do you use? What are you using?
You're just after my heart, because I'm going to be honest. I had to hit my skincare guru and be like, I'm puffy and I've got lines. What's going on? Let me tell you what I've been doing, y'all.
Tell us.
I'm going to tell y'all what I've been doing. One, I have that microcurrent thing that I've been using. That I just started using it, and I use a red light mask now. Collagen wise, I make bone broth. I make my own bone broth. And I drink it in the morning after I work out, because I work out on an empty stomach, and I drink it before I go to bed. It has worked better than anything else that I've used. And right now I'm faithful to it. I'm on it. Make your bone broth, drink it in the morning, get your glutamine. It's helping to change my skin. But the bone broth, that bone marrow, and I put a little habanero peppers, and of course, like carrots and onions and celery, but the pepper in it is, y'all do bone broth. It's good.
To look up a vegan alternative.
Ancient Nutrition collagen powder was bomb.
So the final question that I ask all of my guests on Black Girl Ambition, I will ask you to, Jessica, and that is, what is your greatest ambition in life?
My greatest ambition in life is to live free and to take care of my loved ones. And that's it. I want to live free. I want to take care of the people I love.
Boom. Thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure speaking with you. That is a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and join me next week for another great conversation with a special guest. And remember, your ambition is your superpower. Keep dreaming big, building out loud, and living fully. Until next time, stay ambitious.
Overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been testing so much, all these wrestlers nice.